Welcome to our number one best trader final wrap up. This is the number one best trader fall competition week 4 review and winner announcement. And my name is Michael DeJoy. I'm Director of Educational Services and licensed professional here at Dash Trader, joined by my co-host Jill Molendrino, global markets reporter of NASDAQ. Jill, how are you?
Good, doing well. Happy Friday.
Very busy week.
It's always a busy week. Busy IPO week and just always busy.
Yes, I just came in I landed at 9 o'clock this morning from Dubai,
Nice.
which I have to say that the Emirates airline makes it pretty amazing. I left 2:30 a.m. in Dubai in the evening, and I arrived at 8:30 in the morning in New York. Like literally did not even miss one day's worth of work, but it was a 14-hour flight. Probably one of the most comfortable flights I ever took in my life. Very, very huge aircraft, very comfortable, excellent. So really good experience in Dubai at the World. It's the 2020 World Expo in 2021. It's pretty funny. But on that note, there was all kinds of interesting technology, and we had a pretty big announcement this week that Facebook is changing its name to Metaverse. There was all kinds of virtual reality technology there at the expo. And is this just an attempt to escape bad publicity? What are your thoughts on this whole Facebook movement in the direction of the Metaverse?
Yeah, it's so interesting. To be honest with you, I feel like there's still so much to comb through and to understand really what the strategy is. I think when you look at it at first blush, it's just changing the name. It kind of reminds me of like when Google went to Alphabet, nobody ever refers to it at Alphabet as Alphabet. So I'm curious.
Alphabet soup. It's right, like, I don't know.
I'm curious to see if the name change will structurally change anything. I know what they're trying to do with Metaverse, and I think one of the interesting things is that they're looking to, we have Zoom the way it is now, and part of the issue is with Zoom, you don't have that. And now that a lot of us are going back into the office, you do see where the in-person missing component is, where it's like, oh, one more thing, I have, an extra 5 minutes. And things can happen with that kind of interactivity. So I think with what they're trying to do to make a Zoom type experience more personal, where you incorporate that virtual reality and so forth, that could be interesting. But in terms of the platform itself, I don't see anything changing with Facebook or Instagram. I mean, maybe there is, but like I said, I don't have enough information into that to make that distinction. But I just can't see how it's going to change. I think Facebook and a lot of social media just turned themselves into cesspools of misinformation. So I just don't know how they're going to flip that switch.
Yeah, I mean, I it's funny because it's really like they're just kind of focusing on one part of a very broad business model. Because like me and my son, we both have the Oculus VR glasses, and we play games together in virtual reality, and I guess that is kind of the part of their business that they're focusing on, is that metaverse where you can kind of move around in this virtual world. And but again, their core business is Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp, and advertising. And there's not a whole lot of that in the metaverse at the moment. So maybe they are, it doesn't seem like, I mean, it's an interesting element to just focus on one small part of your business that's not your core business. But we'll see how it plays out. I mean, it does, to me, kind of reek of like a reactionary move to this whole whistleblower and all the bad news. So it kind of feels like they're just doing a little distracting, but that could just be my opinion. Who knows?
Yeah.
Next, it's the other big news of the day is that Microsoft had some phenomenal earnings. And, on the back of those phenomenal earnings, they overcame Apple as the company with the largest market capitalization in the world. And the question is that here to stay or not? Your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think Microsoft has certainly made leaps and bounds since their, Satya Nadella has come on. I think the way that they're focusing the company and, the direction really is in cloud and data and newer technologies and so forth. I think part of the issue is also optics with Apple because of the consumer exposure that it has, and with supply chain issues and so forth. I don't think Microsoft either has those optics or as much exposure to it. And it's a little bit less reliant on hardware than Apple, which is more known for solving for consumer products. So
Yep.
it makes sense to me. Microsoft is just it's the company that touches virtually everything on the enterprise and personal level.
Yeah, I mean, I think Apple also is getting a ton of competition on their cell phone business, and their cell phone business has been losing market share, pretty considerably, and they become more of a software as a service or service provider, going towards Apple TV and all these kind of Apple related services, Apple Pay. So they've kind of diversified into that area, whereas Microsoft, like you said, touches everything. They pretty much have their hand in the cloud. I mean, they're a huge cloud provider, one of the three big cloud providers. They are a huge hardware manufacturer. They're huge in video games with Xbox. There's so many areas that Microsoft is really integral. So, I mean, and it's not just consumer projects, it's also business to business and consulting. I mean, you name it, Microsoft is there. So it makes a lot of sense. And I do think that this is here to stay. The other thing too that makes up market capitalization is a large float. So both Apple and Microsoft have these tremendous floats. And when the price of the stock goes up, that adds to your market capitalization. It's just the way it goes. So, and speaking on a different note, I mean, something we talk about every single week here, and I think it's talked about every single day on the news, is inflation hits a 30-year high, and it clearly does not seem to be going away anytime soon. What are your thoughts about this kind of latest human infrastructure bill that may or may not get passed for $1.7 trillion? What are your thoughts on that? And is that going to cause more inflation, or is inflation just, pretty much baked into everything for the next year and a half? What are your thoughts going into Christmas and the next year?
It's so interesting to see stocks continue to hit all-time highs, or major averages anyway, hit all-time highs. Really quite remarkable in the face of what we're seeing with inflation. I thought this week, as we get through some tech names, and perhaps next week or the week after, when we get into the consumer names and learn more about what holiday is going to look like and forward-looking guidance, I thought we would have seen some volatility out of that. We haven't, obviously. But I think we always look at the market as a discounting mechanism. I wonder if the market understands that we know how much pent-up demand is out there. We're seeing it in the numbers. The National Retail Federation expects an 8.5% to 10.5% increase in retail spending this holiday season, which is quite impressive, even without stimulus checks. But think about all of the gift cards and cash that's going to be given because you can't get product from the store. So perhaps the market is thinking, okay, well, you know what, Q2, Q3 next year, you're going to start to see the demand then once the supply chain is back on. I don't know. That's the only thing that I can come up with, with the way the market is reacting to inflation, but you're feeling it everywhere. And the labor market is also another issue. You can have all the ships you want getting product over, but if you don't have the labor to work at the docks or transport it from the cargo containers, I think it's a big issue. I just feel like, Mike, it's a confluence of so many things when we think about the labor force, how people are getting compensated, what benefits are like, inflation, kind of our culture around work. Just feels like everything's at an inflection point, and we really are in uncharted territories as we come out of this pandemic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the one stock that we certainly saw that's in the tech space that really, I mean, kind of missed big, which we can understand why, was Amazon. I mean, Amazon certainly being affected by the supply chain, also being affected by additional costs that they're going to have to take on additional costs, so that Amazon isn't the Grinch that stole Christmas. I mean, they are a huge logistics company now, and they know they have to. I mean, it was in their earnings report that they're going to be spending billions upon billions of dollars, and they're a company that doesn't operate. I mean, Amazon operates on really thin margins. I mean, it's a 5 to 10% margin business. So if you're spending billions of dollars, that cuts right into your profit margin. So right. they really, I mean, they're not in a downturn. We'll look at their chart in just a few minutes in terms of the way they reacted to the to the earnings. I mean, they gap down, et cetera. They haven't kind of broken down yet, but I mean, Amazon stock has been flat now for quite a considerable period of time, which it had been one of the biggest performers in the market over the beginning and middle of the pandemic. So let's jump into our competition overview and announce our winners. This is for week October 25th to October 29th. We have our number one, our winner, Best 559. Really, I mean, clinching it today. I mean, this has been all over the map in terms of P&L in this traders competition. We've had, traders up $20,000, $30,000, and then falling all the way down into the lower echelons of the top 10 list. I mean, but Best 559 making $999.49 today, bringing in a total of $2,222 over the course of the trading competition, coming in really at the end to take the winner's circle and really take the winning slot. So big congratulations to Best 559. Kudos to you. Great job. Not affiliated with any trading community. Our second place winner is Best 964, who did not trade today and took home a total of $655. So we've often said this, Jill, just staying green can win you the competition. Just being consistent and staying profitable can take it home for you if you're disciplined.
Yeah, Mike, this is interesting. I think out of all the competitions that we've been doing, the swings have been the largest. I think it was the second week we had someone who what was it? They were
up 8,000 in the day. And yeah.
No, they were up it was like 700 for the day, but it was because they made 8,000. Like it was an $8,000 swing, which got them plus 700.
Exactly.
And that's a big swing for this, on a percentage basis for this competition. I feel like it's been like that a lot this time.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it has to do with that the markets have gone from like kind of, they're at all-time highs. And it's sometimes a little difficult to trade when you're at the top. I mean, you're at the top. Is it going higher? Is it going lower? Is it moving at all? Is it choppy? I mean, it seems like, because we're kind of at this inflection point in the market, it's earnings season. You have these very, very volatile swings, and this is a day trading competition. And this is really, kind of explicit of day trading. I mean, day trading, you can make a lot and you can lose it very quickly. And we certainly saw some of the people do that. And again, we have our third place winner. I just want to congratulate our third place winner as well. Probably from our most consistent community, the Global Bolsa Group from Peru, which is Best 591, came in third place with $402. But again, this is one of those competitions where if you were green, you were in the top 10. You just have to be profitable, or you have to be flat at the very worst. So let me jump here and take a look at some of these stocks. Our top five stocks are LCID. We can see they traded 13,000 shares. And of course, it's a $36 stock. We have X, 2,000 shares. I mean, X is US Steel, very, very well known. Always a common stock to pop up here on the top 10 list, or the top 5 list, rather. The Ford Motor Corporation, again, very similar. Very, very frequent. It's a high volume, thick liquid stock. Starbucks, also up here in the top 5 list today. And then of course, the Donald Trump news stock that skyrocketed from like $11 all the way up to 175, now back down to 67, which, I mean, kind of, what's the story with this DWAC? I mean, it's kind of a crazy story, right? I mean, the deal was not allowed to go through or something.
Yeah. It's really interesting. And I think, the merger hasn't even closed yet. So I guess it's, anything is possible with it. We've seen it pull back a bit. It just, whether or not you like Trump, the one thing we can all agree on is he has branding power. It kind of, in a crazy way, it almost reminds me of like Howard Stern in the 90s, where
It's Sirius satellite radio.
Right, where like people who didn't like him listened because they just wanted to hear what he has to say. I almost feel like it's the same thing almost. And then of course he has his supporters and so forth. I just his track record isn't that great with running and owning companies. We'll see. There really is, everything is media and content is king. And if there's an audience for it, I mean, who knows? Who knows if he's going to be involved?
Is the deal going to go through though? I mean, it looked like, it dropped considerably. I think that the deal might not go through, right? I mean, that was what the reason was. Or was it all speculation?
Well, I'm sure it's speculation for sure.
Yeah.
That's definitely some of it. But some people took advantage of it, and
yeah, it's crazy, really crazy story. LCID. Let's take a look at this one, see what this looks like. I mean, this is just a real typical example of a one-hit wonder stock. Stock had been consolidating for a long period of time right here in its kind of range between, $16 and $29 at the high. So $16 to $29, kind of an interesting range. So here, I'm just going to put a box around the range. So, and then, the stock breaks out of that range on Thursday. So the stock breaks out of the range on Thursday. Everybody starts trading it. Today it gaps up and it's all volatility city. So that explains why we have LCID. I mean, in the day trading competitions, we always see these kind of, volatility, one hit, one day wonder stocks that just pop up on the radar. Here we have U.S. Steel. Again, I don't know if they had earnings, but certainly U.S. Steel had a big gap up. They would usually gap up on earnings or some kind of a report such as that. But they had a huge gap up today, which put them as one of the most active stocks on U.S. Steel. Take a look at the intraday here. I mean, just really trading a range. So a lot of traders were trading it. Ford Motor Corporation also having a big gap up on Thursday, really having a nice technical buy setup, breaking out to an all-time or a recent high rather. So Ford Motor Corporation, I think there was also some positive news about, getting into the electrical car space, et cetera. So, and then here is SBUX, Starbucks. Starbucks coffee gapping down big on the downside. They need a little shot of espresso for Starbucks coffee. We have a big gap down, gapping onto support. Certainly an earnings type of play here, where you got a big gap down and then possibly a sell-off, maybe a gap and go down. On the intraday chart, that's exactly what it looks like, just a sell-off, and then it kind of recovers here at the end of the day. So a lot of people were day trading it. And then last but not least, our crazy Trump stock, news-driven event, pure speculation. Stock goes from $10. I mean, I would say this is probably the most actively traded stock in the competition, because literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, for the last 10 trading days, the last 2 weeks of the competition. I mean, this has been on the leaderboard every single day. But I would imagine it's been on the NASDAQ most active as well every single day, just because everybody's speculating on it. So let me just jump back and wrap it up. And a big congratulations to our winners once again. Thank you so much, Jill, for joining us.
Got it.
And you can get to start your weekend once again.
Yes. All right. Have a good weekend, everyone. Take care.
Great weekend, Jill. See you soon. So let me just jump in here and do our announcements. Congratulations to our winners of our fall intermediate competition. From everybody here at Dash Trader, we would like to congratulate our winners and thank all of our competitors for a very exciting competition. We will see you back in 2022. Follow us on social media at numberonebesttrader.com. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Certainly, if you haven't already followed us on our Dash Trader updates, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel at Dash Trader TV. Follow us on social media at Dash Trader. You can follow us at LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And a big congratulations to our winner of our fall competition. That's Best 559. And then, of course, our second place winner, best 964, and our third place winner, best 591. Thank you so much for participating in the competition, and we look forward to seeing you at the next one. Thanks so much. Have a great weekend, everybody.